What's going on, bro? God bless you, man.
God bless you, bro.
God bless y'all, family. So today, man, we have a very special testimony.
Yes.
We have my brother, Jomar,
Yes.
right?
Yep, Jomar.
Little bit story. How I met Jomar was through Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Met you through Instagram. I seen, you going out preaching the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Seen you on the trains. Pretty much, like how we be evangelizing and stuff. And I just found it so powerful that a young man of God, he's 18 years old.
18
years old. And just doing the work of God like with boldness, and that's what we're called to do. And it just attracted me to see like somebody from the Bronx, somebody that's come from the hood, come from the trenches, a little bit about your testimony, and it just really touched me, and it made me like, wow, I need to sit down with you,
Yeah.
And we were actually here. We was in the Bronx doing a video for him for his music video, So for the mic videos that we do for Testify His Love, which is going to be on the channel.
Yeah.
And we just started sitting in a laundromat naturally, just chilling, actually washing clothes and things, and he was telling his testimony, and I just felt led to just capture it here, naturally, keep it raw, not fake. We're not faking it for anything. We're being real.
Yep.
And so just introduce yourself to the channel. Let them know where you're from, how old you are, your background.
So my name is Jomar Santiago. I'm 18 years old. I'm born and raised in the Bronx. I grew up with a family of 5, which is my mother, my father, and my 2 older brothers. And pushing the ministry of BLJ right now stands for Bros Love Jesus. It's just creative ways to spread the gospel and just show young teenagers like there's hope in Jesus. Like this youth generation that, there's hope in Jesus and that there's freedom in Jesus. And just trying to show that through our lives, through our testimony, through our experiences, and what God done in our lives. And so I live in the projects right now, so definitely grew up, not too tough, not too dangerous. My family was definitely, like the good family of the neighborhood. I would say we got along with everybody, but you know how it is in the projects and stuff like that. So there was definitely a lot of animosity, things going around, and I just grew up under the influence of my brothers. When I was about 12 years old, I got introduced to pornography. I got introduced to lust. My brothers was in high school. I was in middle school. And my brothers was always in the world. They was always having fun. They was always like, doing what they wanted to do, have fun, smoke, throw parties and stuff. And I would see it, and I would want to involve myself in it. Like, it was like an influence. I always wanted to be in it. But I never could because I was always young. So my brothers would kind of just leave me to the side. So I started pushing it myself. I would get a couple of kids from my middle school, a couple of kids, and just be like, yo, we should do a party. Like, at a young age, 12, 13 years old, like, yo, telling kids in school, let's smoke, let's do this. Thinking it's fun, Like, that was the only thing I saw. So I thought that was fun at the time. And, that's kind of how I was growing up.
That age was what, like?
12, 13 years old. 13 years old. Throughout my middle school, entire middle school year.
Yeah. So you spoke a little bit about, influence. And for me, influence is very important, So even you being a young man and you seeing your brothers out partying, drinking, smoking, that influenced you to start doing this stuff. So just speak about, the young kids out there that's, 18, 15, like young kids that, they might be seeing your videos, they might be seeing our videos, and they're currently in a place where they want to give their life to Christ, right?
Okay.
But everywhere they're around is nothing but influence, demonic influence. So just speak about how did you not let that affect you, and how did you go about the influence part?
Okay, so definitely first thing I want to say is that whether you serve God or not, I want to let you know that God is in control of everything. So the minute you feel like you can't do it, you got to pause and ask yourself, is it God that's doing it or is it you that's doing it? You cannot never take control. Always let God take control. So when I was growing up, I had a lot of influence, not just my brothers, but the people that I hang around. Like, we was always like partying, like we was always just living a life in the world. But one thing I can say was that when I was in the world, I didn't see youth like preaching the gospel outside. I didn't see youth that was making music like Christian rap. Like, that was never introduced to me at the time. So at the time it was just church, like it was just religion. That was the only thing that I heard or I seen. Like it was not like I didn't see youth or like, you know, what we're doing today. I never saw that. I never had that influence. I only had the influence of like just, you know, my brothers and my friends. So what I would say now is there's a community.
Yeah.
There's a community, and one thing I want to let you know is that like if you're a youth that's struggling and you're in an environment of just people that is pushing drugs and people that is gang banging and people that is just like, you know what I'm saying, in that lifestyle and just want to just live that life, and you're seeking Jesus and you want to live and like kind of just get into a relationship with God, always know that it is possible, number one. And number two, to find a community. Like even you was telling, my brother Noel was telling me like God brought him and gave him a community. So like everything works, like everything that you put in God's hands is gonna work in favor.
Yes.
So
And for me, you know, community is very important.
yes.
And you know, because for so many times, you know, I dealt with things like suicidal thoughts
Mhm.
and like demonic, you know, influence, drugs, smoking,
Yeah.
women, you know, just money, just so much things that like people I was around was influencing me so much. And it's almost like I had a dark cloud on me. And when I had this dark cloud on me or whatever, and I go around a community with people full of light, not darkness, that thing would just leave me. I'm like, you ever like like where it's like you feeling so dark, and then you walk like in a church or around a whole bunch of believers and we're praying and say, okay, pick your head up. You feeling this? Let's go to the Word of God. Like let's go let's go you know, spend time in His presence, spend time, and it just changes your whole day rather than like yo Joma, let's go smoke, let's go drink, let's go. It does something, it shifts. So I say this to say that people who might be watching this, you know, just hearing from my brother, how big community is important, how big having believers around you,
Gotta have believers,
you know, are important. Because iron sharpens iron. And they're there to lift you up, you know. And so I just want to encourage people that's watching this right now to definitely seek community. Find your local church. Pray to God. God, lead me to a community of believers. People who actually genuinely care for you, and they will help. You know, that really helped me a lot. Just that prayer and God doing that for me. And just hearing you, man, just sparks something in me with that. But another thing that we talked about a little before we actually started recording, we was actually talking about it was we dealt with suicide. And a lot of people don't know, but less than a month ago, I just lost a brother to suicide. You know, and really close to me, like, you know, blew his brains out, like in front of, like with his baby, you know, like it was a lot, bro. And so when you talked about it, it really touched me, and I know that God saved me from it, from those thoughts, and just going to do it, and you too. And it just sparked it in me, man, because I know a lot of people going through this and they don't know the answer. They don't know how to get out. They're trying drugs, money, fame, and like how we were. But we, by the grace of God, we made a way out. We found the way out, which is the mercies of God and His grace for us, and how much He loves us, and us coming to Him and submitting to Him and asking, Lord, please save us, and you know, repent and turn it to Him. You know, so just share a little bit about, you know, that walk of suicide and you getting freed from it, and just share that with us.
So definitely want to say when I was 15 years old, my family, we moved to another church. Start off with that. So me and my family, we moved to another church, and the old church, like the church I grew up in church. So the church that I grew up in was only Spanish, and you know, at the time I rarely knew Spanish. So you know, that was like throughout that time I was in the world. I was just, you know, doing my thing, right? So we ended up going to another church, and this church was English. So, you know, I had a little bit knowledge of what the world was like and stuff. So what shifted my mindset was when my older brother got saved. My older brother started serving. My older brother.
The importance of the firstborn.
And so he was saved. And as we was talking about earlier, community and influence, they were the influence in my life. So the minute that they started serving and the minute that they gave their life to God, it opened my eyes a little bit to think, okay, God is real. I know that. but what is he doing in my brother's life? So, little by little, I was going to church every single week. I was still living a daily life of sin. I was just living in drugs. I was still living, I would go. It's something that this world does. Everybody goes to church every Sunday. Everybody goes to church, whenever there's service, and just live their life. So, I was living my life. I was just living in sin. And I have another brother, and he ended up getting saved. So after he got saved, mind you, my mindset is, okay, I just seen my brothers in the world, and they were like the partiers. They were the one hosting the parties. They were the one in it all, and their whole life just shifted because of this spiritual being. So my mind is opened up, but throughout that time, I'm getting older, and the more I got older, the more like this life was revealed to me. So mind you, at that time, I'm around 14 years old. So as I'm getting older, 15, I'm starting to smoke more. I'm starting to meet older people. I'm starting to get under that influence of older men and just them like telling me to do drugs and them going to parties and stuff. And, at the time I thought church was cool. Church was, okay. But I wanted to live that life. I wanted to live that life. I always wanted to live that life as a kid. So I was doing it. I was doing it. I was living the life. My entire family was serving Jesus at this time. And I was the only one that was pushing just a life of sin, a life of just what I wanted. I was being my own God. And, going down the road, 15 years old, I ended up going back to church. And, it was fun. I met people, and I had a couple of friends. I had relationships. And it made me interested. It made church entertaining for me. So I was in it all the time. I would dress up. Here and there, I would feel the presence of God. And since my family was there, I decided to get baptized one day. One day I decided to get baptized. And when I did get baptized, I felt the presence of God. I felt it. It was amazing. And, I continued on with just, I wouldn't say it's a walk, but I would say the process of that I was living in. And, going down the road, there was a season where I got into a depression. People left me. I had a relationship, and the girl left me. And, that relationship put me into a deep depression. And it was just attack after attack. And through that month of just depression, I realized that my relationship with God wasn't really strong because I had put man in front of God. Because the minute I lost this woman, the minute I lost this girl, I was broken. And, I was just going down the hill. And my relationship ended. I ended up catching COVID for like 3 weeks straight. This is back then when COVID was very strong. And I was sick. And there was this one time where, and this is all in the same month. And, there was this one time where I was in the train and I got into a fight and I got beat up on the train. And, the same day that I did get into a fight and I got beat up, like, the same day I had went to church before that happened. And when I went to church, I reconciled with God. I told God, I'm sorry, I've been drinking, I've been smoking, I've been living a life. And I wanted to truly know him. And that same day I got into a fight. Same day I got beat up. And that day, it let me think that God is real, but he wants nothing to do with me. Nothing. And I was so angry at God. I was like, God, I just want to curse you. Why did you let this happen to me? Why did you, come on, I just got beat up. And then the same week I got COVID. And, when I was in COVID, I was in so much depression just because the only thing I was able to do was think to myself. Just think to myself. And all I was thinking was, okay, I got beat up on the train. I got COVID for 3 weeks. I just ended, my relationship ended. I feel like God is far from me. My family, I felt abandoned from them. I would be home and my family would be there, but I feel like they would be separated from me. My family wasn't there. And that's another thing that put me into a deep depression. Family.
And
I felt
lying to you, telling
you
it wasn't there.
the enemy was just telling me I was just alone. And when I would go to my bed, I would just lay down and look in the ceiling and just feel lonely. My brothers, I would hear them happy. I would hear them coming home, from hanging out, and I was just there by myself. My family didn't care, my mother, my father, I just felt like they was there. They wasn't really caring about me. And so when I got healed from COVID, um, when I got healed from COVID, I had departed from the world completely. I fully gave my life to the world. Gave my life to
So
the enemy.
after the COVID, after you going through this period of test and try, then that's when it was like, oh God, maybe he's not really here for me, but it was all to have him, it was all for his glorification.
Yep. So throughout like all of that, now I understand that God was orchestrating everything. He was doing everything. But so at this point, like mind you, through the 3 weeks of just me in my bedroom by myself, and all I could do was think, it was just a moment of the enemy, like just speaking to my mind and just giving me bad thoughts. Like I just felt like God wasn't there for me, and I probably thought God was real at the moment, but like I didn't have the love. Like I had hate for God because He let me go through all of that. So when I had got out of COVID, went back to the world, started smoking. This time I started smoking more than ever, like 8 blunts a day. I was addicted to hookah. I was drinking, and mind you, I'm like a freshman in high school, so I'm like, Patron, Henny, like I'm just having parties, like I'm talking to a whole bunch of women, like I'm just falling into sin, and I started hanging around the people that I used to hang around with when I was in, like really in the Word. I started hanging out with them again, and I was just living a daily life of sin, living a daily life of smoking. Like I woke up and I would smoke. Like I can't go to sleep if I didn't smoke. Hookah, I would smoke. Like I would have like 2, 3 bottles in my house stored, like in my dresser. Like I would be the person calling out for the links. I would be the person like telling everybody, "Oh, let's do this, let's do this." And the reason why I was so like smoking so much and outside and partying was because I always had a fear of being by myself. Now the 3 weeks that I had COVID and the 3 weeks that I was laying down, not only did it put me into a depression, but it put me into a fear. So when I went back to the world and I was healed, I never wanted to be in my house. I never wanted to be by myself because I knew that like what being by myself felt like. I knew what it felt like to be alone and be in your house doing nothing. So I never wanted to do that. So every single day, just calling my friends, calling my cousins, my family, let's do this, let's do that. Like, let's have fun. And fun to me was just living a life of partyness and just looking for women and looking for girls and just doing that. And, going now and coming back home, I would be depressed. I would be sad. And, 3 months later, like I was just straight, like that lifestyle, it was a routine. I would start seeing myself being more sad. I would start seeing myself failing in school, skipping school. I would start seeing myself argue with my parents more. There was times where I was cursing my parents out, my brothers. Like I was just getting, like I was changing. I was changing to a whole nother person. And, these months going by, me living in this routine, like I'm just starting to see myself more sad, more depressed, more angry. It was like I didn't even know what peace felt like. I didn't even know what love felt like. Like it was a daily argument with my family. It was a daily argument with, like myself. Like, and it going down that road, like that routine. I was failing school. And that was one of the biggest things that led me and my mom to have an argument, because she always wanted me to do good for school. So there was one day where we had an argument because I skipped school. I was failing. We had an argument, right? And in this day, I'm like 3 months into living this lifestyle. So, like, at this point, I'm even thinking about gangbanging and everything. Like, my mind is just going crazy. So this day, me and my mom had an argument, and she started speaking to me like she doesn't even know who her child is. Like, Joma, what have you gotten into? What have you become? Like, you're failing school and you don't care about yourself. And at the time I was angry, like, "Mom, stop talking to me like that," like at the time. She was telling me like, what are you doing to yourself? Like, you're failing school, you're not listening, you're being disobedient, and I'm just arguing back with her. And I remember the last thing she told me was, "I'm gonna talk to you when I get home." And so that moment, I went to the shower. I skipped school. It was a morning. It was a Wednesday. And I believe the day was March 4th. of 2022. I remember I went to the shower, and when I tell you that this was the longest shower of my life, the longest shower of my life, this was the longest shower of my life. And immediately as I'm in the shower and the water is just hitting me, it was like all I could hear was the voices in my head. Like there was nothing outside I could hear. Like it was just the waters falling on me, and just a heaviness over my mind. And all I can hear is voices telling me like, "You're not worthy. You're not valuable. Look, you're trying in life, and it's not going good. You should end your life." And like immediately, I'm listening to these voices, and in my mind, I'm like, "You're right." And now that I know the enemy speaking to me, I knew that in the moment there was someone speaking to me. Everything it was saying, I was just like, "You're right. You're right. I'm not worthy. People don't love me. People don't care about me. My family doesn't care about me." For 3 months, I felt abandoned. I felt depressed. I felt hurt. I felt addicted. I was addicted to pornography. Money I was addicted to. I was addicted to drugs. At this point, I tried everything in this life, and nothing worked for me. All of those things that I tried led me to one moment in my bathroom. And that one moment was reflecting and just thinking if I should live another day in this life. And in that moment, I'm by myself at home. There's nobody there. My brothers, nobody was there. I was there by myself. So I'm in the shower and I'm just thinking to myself, listening to that voice in my head. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to end my life. I'm going to end my life, and I don't want to live a day. If my life is going to be like this forever, then there's no point of me living right now. I didn't think about what my family would think. I didn't think about what my brothers would probably would have went through. I didn't think about nothing. I thought about myself. You know what I thought about was, if I'm going to be going through this, there's no point of me living. So in that moment, I was about to lay in my tub. Just I was about to lay in my tub. And in my life, I felt another heaviness right over my mind. And I heard a voice. And the voice said, "Jomar, I love you, and I never forgot about you." And in that moment, all I thought was Jesus. Jesus. And I knew it was Jesus because in that moment, I broke down. I started repenting. I started screaming. I started bawling tears in my bathtub. And I'm like, "Jesus, I surrender to you." Because really in that moment, my parents wasn't home to save me or knock on the door, break through and try to help me. My brothers wasn't there. The thing that I tried wasn't there. The money I was chasing, it couldn't do nothing for me in that moment. The drugs I was chasing, it couldn't do nothing for me in that moment. The woman, the everything, it couldn't do nothing for me in that moment. All I thought to myself was everything that I did, it led me to this moment of just thinking if I should live another day. And it almost made me kill myself and commit suicide. But Jesus came. And I wasn't looking for Jesus. I wasn't seeking Jesus. I had hate for him because everything that I went through, I was constantly going through this, and I felt no word. I felt nothing. Like God was doing anything for me. And in that moment when he spoke to me, I broke down in the presence of the Lord. I broke down and I started crying. I started surrendering. And in that same day, it was a Wednesday, I had service. And I went to church that same day. And when I went to church, I was sitting down and I got called to the front by a woman. And she came and she told me, she was like, "The Spirit wants to tell you that he loves you and he never forgot about you." And the same day, and mind you, this 3-month process, I was going to church. Nothing was happening. I felt like nothing was happening. I was going to church.